Do either of you have anything? I did find this gem, Craig Clark, hometown hero for the month of August. Congratulations, you will deserve it. Okay, good.
As always, the school deliberative session will be early next February 2025. I will keep you appraised once the date is known.
Thank you.
The other one is, at the last meeting, somebody brought up public swimming at the college. They're not here tonight. I got word from FPU, yes, they can. Residents can swim down by Lakeside, which is on University Drive. It's the nice new building down the bottom there. It's advised to park in the student parking lot across the street, because there's no parking right beside Lakeside. And if you're bringing young children, you might want to be careful as to what time of day, because the college students always don't talk nicely in front of people. Sometimes.
I've heard that.
I haven't. I've never heard speaking that language. Never. I'm just telling you the truth.
Thank you. And I wanted to put Kurt up on the schedule because he needs to be out of here, and I promised him at 6 o'clock to speak, but sorry.
Somebody held him up. I apologize, and I appreciate the extra few minutes getting through the testing of the ballot. So, just in regards to the inspectors of elections, I just wanted to make sure there's clarification and the select board understands the process on that and the way it's been done in the past based on talking to Charlie. So the parties, per RSA 658(2), are allowed to appoint, and I'll just summarize it, but are allowed to appoint 2 inspectors of elections at each polling place for up to 2,000 eligible voters, and 1 per additional 1,500 voters. So town of Rindge, roughly 4,400, Carl will correct me if I'm wrong, roughly 4,400 people on the checklist, eligible to vote, so they're allowed to appoint up to 4 inspectors for the election. And so what that is that's basically people who are designated to work the polls. The designation as far as for what they do is up to the moderator. There is a deadline on that, which was July 15th, which is obviously behind us. And so we had 3 that were submitted for the Democratic Party, which is not very sure we will use them. And the Republican Party did not submit any. So if they're not, names are not submitted by the political parties, then it's up to the selectmen to appoint them. Now these are basically election workers. Everybody confuses them. I was talking to Mr. Combs earlier with the inspectors who stand behind the ballot clerks. It's not those inspectors. That's a whole different animal that we don't get involved with at all as a town, other than providing them a location to stand. And typically they're listening to see who hasn't checked in, and if there's an issue of, hey, that person checked in 3 hours ago, or that type of thing. They're looking for issues with the election. This specific one, they're more or less election workers. So the idea behind it is that you have an even number, I shouldn't say an even number, you should have, if you're using the minimum number of election workers, you have an even number of Republicans and Democrats working together. That way everything's above board, so to speak. You don't get any accusations of, hey, just the Democratic Party's running this election, or just the Republican Party's running the election, and fraud, etc. Nowadays, that's what you hear. So, is what has happened in the past. It falls to the selectmen, because typically the Republican Party is, the recent past has been worse in not appointing any at all, and so it typically falls to the selectmen. The selectmen have said, hey, we put out an email and request for election workers, and we get what we get. Typically, we're fighting to get election workers. As long as we have 4 from each party, we are covered. Stop and think about it. That's all we're required to use is 8 people to run the election. How someone would ever think of doing that, I have no idea. So I just want to make sure that the selectmen were aware of that, because I know there was some emails that went back and forth, there's some confusion as far as the process. And then is what we try and do is to put, with ballot clerks, ballot clerk term is basically anybody who's sitting with the checklist. Someone checks in or handing out ballots. Typically is what we try and do is to pair Republican with the Democrat. It doesn't always work because, quite frankly, just like anything else in life, you have some people that are better at the task than others. And we want to run a clean and fair election without having the numbers not work at the end of the night and match up with all the checks and balances. So we look at it and say, as long as we have an even number, at least 4 Republicans, at least 4 Democrats, working the election morning and afternoon, we cover the intent of the lies and making sure the elections.
Yeah, how is this different from the volunteers that we do have all of this? Because I can, when I go in there, I see probably 4 Democrats, 4 Republicans at least.
Correct. It's no different. So basically, from my understanding of the purpose and the intent of the law is exactly like I stated, to make sure that you've got an even number from each party watching over the election, involved in the process, understanding what's going on, similar to what you all saw us racing to finish up here. It's open. Tom was here for the first part of it. Charlie Egg was here for the first. It doesn't matter. Like, anybody from any party can oversee the part of the election, and that's the idea behind it. So, well, from the intent of it, we meet at 100%. And basically, the selectmen don't appoint, which they haven't in the past, and said, this person, because what happens, the selectmen do that, and then they don't show. So the moderator has always taken the responsibility with the help of the selectman's office and the town clerk's office of getting election officials all set into the roles that they're supposed to be in. I mean, I have a list here. It's Republicans, Democrats, undeclared. It's a good cross-section all the way through.
Right.
So we meet the intent. I just wanted to make sure everybody was good with that and there wasn't any issues, questions. Try to answer any questions that anybody had. I just figured it was much easier to come here and have the discussion because have a one-on-one and then the stories get all crossed. I just want to make sure we're all on the same page.
I still have a couple of questions. I actually volunteered to be an inspector. Can I be?
As a selectman, you're there in the selectman's role, so you're automatically there.
So I am an inspector.
Yes.
So I'm one.
So in other words, so if we're supposed to let them
I didn't say
know,
which party.
we're supposed to let them know, is my understanding, and again, I'm going to have to double check into who those are, the individual parties.
The second thing is, can it be people that are on the ballot?
No. So you can't work the polls if you're on the ballot.
Actually,
You can't touch the ballots.
but could that person be an inspector?
Um,
I'm just asking the moderator.
I don't know the answer. I don't know the
I've
answer
read the book through
from
there.
from the letter of the law. I don't know the answer from an optics standpoint. I would think you probably wouldn't want to, but has it happened in the past? I've been the deputy moderator in the past and been on the ballot and not touched it. So I don't have an issue with it. I mean, Charlie's done. How do you be the moderator and still want to? You're the,
A lot of us have been election officials
election
and been on the
officials,
ballot at the same
yeah.
time.
But as far as for handling,
We stay away from the ballots.
correct, you can't touch the ballots and the processing of ballots, counting of ballots, etc. So
The other thing, how many hours, it doesn't say how many hours that we have to cover that. It could be 1 hour.
it does not, but in our case, right now, the morning, well, no, that's not true.
I didn't see
Yeah,
anything.
we're morning and afternoon, we're covered just with ballot clerks, never mind with greeters and supervisors of the checklist, assistants, I guess is the word. So we're covered on that end.
So, I'm just looking at the road. There's usually 1 volunteer, 2 volunteers, 3 volunteers that I see right now, 4 volunteers for one side, sometimes 1, or no. We already have 3 people appointed by the Democratic Party.
Yes.
They're currently not on my table, but we will make sure to have them.
So we
They
probably.
will be on, this is the volunteer worksheet is always a work in progress. They will be on there, they have to be on there, that's the law.
We're supposed to appoint these people for 2 years. In the time frame for July 15th was for the state election official of the parties,
Correct,
not for the select.
correct.
When
Correct.
they contacted us, they wanted to know who we had from each party to serve, no, from the Republican Party to serve at the New Hampshire primary on November 10th. Sunday.
September.
Not them, that's for sure. Whoever sent you the
Sunday,
email.
November 10th. I've still got the email. When Shauna was here, Shauna sent it. I sent it back. It says, would you please contact this person and
Mistakes happen.
ask him what he really wants? So it should have been September 10th, not November 10th.
Correct. So we can,
Because I didn't feel like coming in on Sundays
so we can,
after the general election.
correct. But we can have, as far as for the, I don't know like I said, if they're looking to have a list, our list of volunteers would cover that. I don't know if there's additional roles that they're required to do. Our role as a town, as a moderator, is to use them as volunteers during the election. That's all our role is. So if they have additional requirements or duties by the individual parties that they have to do. In other words, I don't know that. I wouldn't be comfortable with saying right now, hey, your name's on the list, you're gonna be one, you're gonna be one to send the list off, because I don't know if that's putting additional work on them. I've been down to that, on the moderator.
There was one more question, and it doesn't even say that person has to be a registered voter in that town. I haven't read that. So this could be Republican or Democrat as long as they're registered in the state of New Hampshire.
I don't have an answer for you, I don't know that
just-
inside now. I know the past process has been, that your election volunteers are from the town. They have a vested interest,
Always has been.
always has been, correct. Whether that's
Just
legally
went through their
required.
brandy new book, and they don't state that.
But
I didn't read the whole RSA. Should point out 658 too.
we can ask that question of,
Because I think some people were appointed to serve in the town of Rindge, but they weren't registered voters in the town of Rindge.
so from the Republican Party, the one that you're talking about, I believe that was saved as Rindge, but it said on the top of it, Seabrook, if you open the file. So I could be wrong in that, but
But it was an interesting question anyway.
correct.
Could we have somebody say from Jaffrey?
Yeah, and I don't know if, she's still downstairs cleaning up. I don't know if Shannon got an answer on that, because that would have gone to her. But like I said, past process has been that, I mean, as a townsperson, right? Like, you want somebody who's vested in town to make sure the process is gonna go according to plan. But not that the outsiders are, they're outsiders, right?
Live in the state.
So do we need to appoint anybody, or is this covered?
That's the question for you guys. We cover, like I said, what we have for a list of volunteers and within the different parties, we cover 100% of the intent of workers. The select board has never appointed them in the past, in the recent past that I've been involved for.
So since we don't have to have a required amount of time, we can be on the ballot, perform other duties, as long as we don't touch the ballots.
Mhm.
And we're there during the day of the primary, not necessarily for the whole day. That fits the bill, right? Any of these people?
Correct, because we have, most of the people are not there all day. They're taking a morning shift or an afternoon evening shift.
So let me ask you a question. Roberta, have you volunteered to work at the primary on September 10th? I will be there working on September 10th. Phil, have you volunteered?
I did.
Claudia, have you volunteered? Would all of you be willing to be designated as the inspector for that date?
Sure, I was just going to suggest that you appoint the list that Victoria has put together. Make it an appointment by the selectmen, because that's what, I kind of figured that it was being done because it was through the selectmen's office. That works, right?
That would work.
Yep.
Oh, thank you.
And again, my only question is that I can't give an answer to is if there's additional responsibilities by being appointed inspectors of the election for the individual parties. If there's additional responsibilities that they're required to do.
It just says that the moderator gets to say what they do.
And one from each party has to be a ballot clerk.
Correct.
That has been appointed.
Are you to be a ballot clerk?
Yes, she is.
Yep, Roberta's listed as Carl there right now.
I was just going to say, but they're not appointing us
As,
by the party.
That's a valid point. Yep.
They're just appointing the
yeah.
workers to be appointed by the selectmen.
Correct. And on that line, though, they did ask, you said you received an email from the parties asking for the names of who the inspectors of the election were for each party. Is that correct? Or that was-
From Republicans.
Okay.
So anyway, there's 4 names that all are willing.
So there was Roberta.
Phil.
You gotta show me where you have it at, kiddo.
I don't know if you're on there.
If Phil's not, okay.
Should be.
And is Janet Tagley on there? I know she's pretty,
Okay. We'll
Did
make
they
it.
send you a confirmation email?
Can't recall.
And then,
Good, Phil Motta.
Claude,
Yeah.
who's the fourth one? Claudia.
Claudia Stewart.
So,
So we've got 4 names there. Just get us
Oh,
off
you're
the hook. The Democrats submitted 3 names already. It was Helene Rogers and Jeff Dickler and somebody else, I forget. So there was 3 people, so they needed 1 more name. You're going to be there, correct?
I am,
Could you represent the Dickler?
for this one time.
So you could have 4 names
see,
right
and
there.
that's part of the issue is that it's supposed to be for a 2-year appointment. And nobody's committed to
I
it.
can recommend a couple names who were volunteers. Do you have Candy Phillips?
Yeah. She volunteers almost everything I do.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah, and she's gonna be there all day right now as well, that's shown, so. The only, they can't, so, that actually doesn't work.
I was gonna say.
Thank you. Because as ballot clerks, they're handling the ballots.
Correct.
Their names on the ballot, Phil and Claudia. So I just did hand counts of the ballots. So their names, so those 2 don't work.
But you do already have.
The ballot clerk is.
So you only need 1. That's right. Yep, okay. Thank you.
We got it?
It's been a long day. Yep.
Thank you.
Claudia, Carl. So that's what we'll use. We say we did it.
Thank all the volunteers.
Yes, me as well. No, I thank everybody. I couldn't do it without everybody.
And we thank
We do
you as
thank
well.
you.
No, I wasn't thanking myself, but that was good, Claudia. It was good. I can be a cat, that's okay. Anything else you need from me?
No, thank you.
Good.
Thank you, Kirk.
You're welcome.
I did
Thank you for
have,
the last hour and a half you put in.
I just asked you all the questions that just didn't tell me the answers to. That's all.
I don't know that I had as much answers, so,
Did you get your problem fixed?
no.
Oh, gotta do that again.
Yeah, so just, well, no, but it won't be, it'll be much quicker, so just, real quick if you want it, you test both the election memory card and there's a spare memory card, just in case there's an issue. And you test the, and spare ballot box, name machine, spare machine. The spare machine wouldn't take that on. Just wouldn't take it whatsoever. So I did talk to the support, they had me run through a series of tests. It's not taking notes. So they will be out and then we'll run through that again and verify that it matches what we have for a hand count that already matched the main machine hand count. So as far as that goes, we tested the machine that we're using, but it's always nice to test the backup. We always test the backup, just in case we have to do that. So typically you don't, but it has happened in the past, we've had to switch them in return, so. Or someone's got web ballot in the machine.
Yeah, you're on the phone when I left.
Thanks, Kurt.
It wasn't me last time.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Okay, we have a public hearing. I'd like to skip to that at this point. We're a little bit late, and so I'd like to open the public hearing for the acceptance of unanticipated revenue for the below items, and we'll open the public hearing at 6:28. So the anticipated revenue and the following will go toward the work being done on the meeting house. $24,000 from the Ralph B. Ward and Gertrude Ward Trust for the perpetual care and maintenance of the Rindge Meeting House. And I would like to make a motion to accept the anticipated revenue in the amount of $24,000 from the Ralph B. Ward and Gertrude Trust for the perpetual care and maintenance of the meeting house. So, do I have a second? Thank you.
About the public hearing part.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do we do the public hearing first? Yes.
Yeah, the public,
I'm
you just
sorry.
speak at the public
They
hearing.
do, yes. But, well, let's read them off in terms of what the items are. I don't know if everyone has so it's the $24,000 from the Ralph B. Ward, $10,000 from the New Hampshire Division of Historical Resources, Department of Natural Cultural Resources, and $36,000 from the Land and Community Heritage Investment Program. Okay. So anyway, are there any people want to speak to it or comment? Yes.
Debbie Quayle. I'm just wondering on the ward fund, that $24,000, is that just interest from 1 year, or how did the $24,000?
You're right, and I don't know the answer to that question today.
I know somebody who does.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, that is the
Could you identify yourself?
Carol LaFosse.
Yes, thank you.
That is the earnings for this year. Investments were really good this year.
Thank you. Okay. All right, and does anyone want to make any comments on any of the other ones? Yes, Mr. Quayle.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Jim Quayle. Can you tell us what each of those sums is to be used for? Do we know?
There was a breakdown on that. The total was 70,000 or something, and these are the elements that got us up there. I don't think it adds up to that. Let me double check. Yeah, it's about 70,000.
76.
And so basically, these are three sources for the total project, which everyone can see is going on right now and making very good progress. So,
The
Okay,
breakdown would
thank
be
you.
the 24,000 is for the meeting house. The 10,000 is actually the second check that's coming for the Moose Plates grant, and then the 36,000 is from the township, which is also specifically for the painting of the meeting house.
yep. Thank you.
And so,
Okay.
These loose plate grants would go towards the watershed painting, is that correct?
correct.
Watershed painting for the loose plate grant money.
Okay. Okay, any other comments? Then I will close the public part of this and take action on all of these. Make a motion for $24,000 from the Gertrude and Ralph Ward Trust for the meeting house. Do I have a second?
I'll make
Thank you. All those in favor?
That would be pursuant to.
Oh, pursuant to, yes, I'm sorry, thank you. RSA 31, 95B. Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion to accept the unanticipated revenue amount of $24,000 from the Ralph B. Ward and Virtue Trust. I'm sorry, accept the $10,000 from the New Hampshire Division of Historical Resources. And is this the same? Yep. Pursuant to RSA 3195B. Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And finally, a motion to accept unanticipated revenue amount of $36,076 from the Land and Community Heritage Investment Program pursuant to the RSA 3195B. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. So I will close the public hearing, and then I will go back up to town and gown appointments, recommendations, and CIP appointment. So anyway, we have a couple town and gown appointments, and what was the recommendation on that? I see it on here. I can't remember the name. Who was it?
Wait to hear back.
Okay.
Burger will accept it.
Well, then, well, we haven't heard back from them. Then we need to table that until we get a definite. Thank you. So I want to table a town and gown appointment, and you're on the town and gown, and you're okay with that? If he accepts.
He's willing to do it. He has to be available typically the third Tuesday of the month at 2 o'clock.
Right, yeah, thank you. And we do have a CIP appointment for Al Bump. It was basically the planning board director, Roberta, filled that when she was acting. And the planning board director was on the CIP. And so basically, I guess we need a motion to appoint Al Bump. I know he's amenable to that. I'm sorry.
I need to be appointed as a planning board member because the statute clearly states that there should be members from the planning board. And that's what I assumed that was.
Okay.
Not as the planning board member.
Got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
CIP is supposed to have, 1 or 2 members from the planning board.
Sounds good.
Okay.
So, do you have a recommendation from the planning board as to who would be on it?
I actually got a recommendation for myself, and I was going to try to find somebody else if they wanted to make another recommendation to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, is that the recommendation coming from the planning board?
It was when I was appointed the first time,
Okay.
and I didn't know that it was set for anything other than planning board.
So basically, we can just continue on as we are. As
Yeah,
we are
I
on
think,
it now.
yeah, the appointment doesn't expire.
Right. Okay. Sounds good.
So Al is not to be appointed? Is that
Yes.
correct?
No.
Yes.
He should be.
He should be.
Yeah. The planning director always was on it also.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, that clarifies it. So we are appointing. I thought you were
Yeah,
saying.
Kirk was on it,
instead.
yeah.
So appoint Al Bump as the planning director for the CIP. And that committee is, you are chair, hometown bureau, and
To clarify the record, I was not the chair. Mr. Coney's was the chair. I had been the chair,
okay,
succeeding Ellen, succeeding
correct.
others.
All right,
I succeeded him by a couple of years.
okay. So in any case,
It's a good addition.
we need members on there, and we need participation.
That is correct.
Yes, as many of our committees do. So,
It'd be a
okay.
good addition.
Was that a
So
motion?
I will make a motion to appoint Al Bump as a CIP.
I'll
member.
second the motion.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, let's move on. Consent agenda. Has everyone read over seen the payroll accounts payable for 22 and 29 of August? And the minutes for 8/14, I know they came in just, Victoria was on vacation the previous week. They just came in. Has everyone had a chance to read the final? And you had made some changes on there.
Yes.
So, okay.
Innocuous, just corrections.
correct, thank you, appreciate it, you always do a good job on that. So anyway, I have a motion to accept the consent agenda for accounts payable for 8/22, 8/29, and minutes from 8/14. Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Thank you, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, and now it's 6:37 and we have citizens forum. So I'm sorry to delay it, but we have these other events. So, does anyone want to comment on or say anything on citizens forum? Okay, all right. I want to get you in order, thank you. And what's your name, sir?
Rick Perry.
Rick Perry, that's right. And you ran for, no.
Energy Secretary.
Yes, that's what it was. Right. Okay. I got you on, thank you. Okay, Craig, did you have something?
I do. I'd like to share to the group that the RBA met last night in an informal meeting, and we were looking at the different options for the Purple Heart Town that the select boards authorized several months ago. Joe Majewski's been running down this in my point to make it all happen. And what we're looking at is buying 4 signs, or getting 4 signs to be put in 2 119 ends and the 2 202 ends. And that it will be happening in the near future. So I want to let you know, progress is being made on the Purple Heart Society and our membership. We're already listed in the master list as a Purple Heart town. And soon in the near future, we hope to be putting up signs. The question is where will we put them and when will we put them up and how will we make that all happen?
If we do that, we also need to make sure we have town signs welcoming people. But,
That's not my problem.
no, it's not, so. Thank you.
This has been a tough road to hoe because people have been unavailable and other things have held up people who had hoped to do this during the summer. But hopefully by early fall, we'll get those signs up.
Okay, thank you.
Carl, let's have a comment.
I'm sure.
Larry Cleveland. Craig, I think I've already talked to you about it, but I'm available if you need any help doing that. I know when it was talked about earlier this year, there was not a lot of people willing to do, so I have a post pounder and everything, so if you need that, just let me know and I can make myself available.
May I answer?
Yes.
I think what we may do is use those signposts that were stolen at the entrance of town and just screw them in there. The second part of it, we need to get permission from the state to do it. Having had a run with the state many years ago about a sign that we put up for the farm. So we're going to clear with Cooyer, who's evidently the new, whatever you want to call him, at the state farm. So we have to clear it with them first.
Okay.
But I think, Larry, we're not going to use the signposts.
You're talking about David Cludier.
Say again?
David, yes.
David Allen Cooyer, if you want to be.
Well, it was a student of mine.
He has a CIP too. He was the first cab, so
Right.
he knows what, he's been there and he's seen it. But again, what we were looking at was those signs that were stolen and putting it there. But we have to clear it with the state first.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Thank you, Craig.
Before we finish it,
Yeah.
are you talking about the wooden posts
Yes.
where the signs were? One of the signs is still there.
Say again?
Yes.
One of the signs is still there, and it still exists.
I'm talking about the signs that were stolen.
202 in Jaffrey.
Say again?
202 at the Jaffrey end, that sign still is there.
Okay. Well, regardless, we're looking at possibly using those to put the signs on. And if I remember correctly, our DPW has volunteered, or Alfred, to put the posts in.
I think the location is okay, but I still thought there might be people who were gonna put signs back into those locations.
Well, this is why we're running it down to see if that's available.
I assumed you were putting new signs in as opposed to using the town posts. Are you using the town posts? Is that what I'm hearing?
To clarify, there were several signs stolen a number of years ago.
Correct.
At the entrance to town.
Yes.
And we were thinking that might be the place where we could put the Purple Heart signs.
Yes.
But we haven't cleared that with anybody, and that's part of our process.
Good. All right. is this related to this topic? Thank you, Roberta.
Yeah, Franklin Pierce got permission to put all those in, and I think they actually own them.
That's who we're talking to.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say the state has to get permission. I think Franklin Pierce does too. Oh, okay.
Thank you. Okay. All right. Thank you. Ronnie Hamilton?
No, I withdraw.
Okay, that's fine. Kellen Geiger?
Kellen Geiger, I wanted to, you did not announce it, so I'm curious, this is being live streamed, this meeting.
Okay.
And that's what's going on, and since
Yeah.
it wasn't announced or anything, can you tell me, is it the town of Rindge that is doing this? Because part of our old business is funding for technology and streaming of town boards and committee meetings.
Yes.
Is that going to be a warrant article, and could, and some of the other things on here that could be very expensive to the residents, are they going to be warrant articles, or are these just going to be votes by you? But first, I would like to know who's doing the live streaming now.
Right now, it's a personal, it's.
And so
companies.
you're putting that on, and it's
Yep.
being live streamed, and it is titled Town of Rindge.
It should not be titled Town of Rindge.
It is titled Town of Rindge, and then it has the different meetings, whether it's a ZBA
Okay.
meeting, a Board of Selectmen meeting, or a Planning Board meeting, which was a subcommittee. And those have been all put on YouTube under the name of Town of Rindge.
Okay.
So I just want to make sure that everybody's aware that even before the meeting and after the meeting, be a little careful in the room what you're saying, because after the meeting, it shows exactly who people are talking to and what is being said.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think it points to the fact that, and this is a later agenda item, that we need a Town of Rindge official streaming if we're going to have it streamed, because anybody who's filming has editorial control. And it should be the town has a neutral control. And so I don't know if I want, one person doing it or another person doing it. I'm sure they'll try to be fair, but in a sense, they have editorial control if they're doing it as a personal film. And so the town really needs to do one, and I've experienced that myself. I remember when I started 20 years ago with the school district, I wasn't sure I was getting the real story of what was happening at school board meetings from our principal, and who's since gone. And so I had to go there myself, and I found out that I was getting an interpretation of it. So I think it's good that people can see what's going on and what's being said, and they can judge for themselves as to what's there.
Thank you, if I could comment. I think that's just fine, but I think that the people in this room have a right to know that it's being live streamed.
Oh, yes.
And I think
Thank
it's
you.
improper that that is happening without the people in this room know it's being live streamed, and I have a problem with that.
Okay.
And now you want money to be able to do it, and I would like to know if that's going to be a warrant article, or if that is going to be just something that the board is going to vote on.
Board has not made any decision on that in terms of spending money.
Thank you.
And in fact, I'm not sure, I don't know if Mr. Cleveland spends money, I don't know if Mr. Coney spends money, but why would we spend money if they can do it for free?
And I'm not live streaming.
No, are you putting it up on the site or anything?
After the meeting,
Got it.
several days after the meeting, but this is not live streamed.
Right, okay, thank you. Okay. Did you want to address anything there?
Nope.
Okay.
You're allowed to do it.
Okay. Then, all right, thank you. I'd like to move on, but.
This is the question to the
Yeah, okay.
right now. My question is, Mr. Cleveland said he's not live streaming. Are you live streaming?
I am on stream.
I wanted clarification.
Thank you. Good point. And Mr. Perry,
That's the item.
could identify yourself for the.
Perry,
Yep.
24 Sportman Drive. The ongoing problem with the lot. The summer's pretty much over. We started this process in June. To date, the only thing I know that's been done is a letter's been sent. And the people are in violation right now. The place has gotten worse, if you can believe it. What are you doing?
I've driven by there 3 times. It is with our attorneys, as I understand. So action is being taken on the legal channels to and get these things removed.
It took over a month to get the first letter sent. Okay, and it's 3 weeks after that, their due date is up. Are you starting to fine them now for not being?
Well, I think it's gonna come down to whatever the court decides. It's strictly in the legal parameters.
What's the timeline to do this? You know,
That's really just,
this started in 2018, 17, 18. Yourself and Mr. Hamilton were on the second one that happened. You were copied on the emails back then. It was an injunction in 2019. Nothing was done. The ball was dropped then. You know, we're 5 years later, and now the summer's gone, and I can't even get a timeline or a schedule or an understanding of what your steps are.
Or do you have anything to share on that?
I just can't really share anything other than it's in our attorney's hands and
Who's pushing? Is he on a time frame?
The court set a date for a hearing, and that's, I think, what he has to abide by. So you just can't.
Is that public knowledge? When is the hearing going to be? Where is it going to be?
it would be
Yeah.
courts in the Jeffrey Court.
No. And if we have a date for that.
Yeah, and could we be informed so that we can be
Absolutely,
there? Yeah.
because it would probably be helpful if you had people giving more information other than an attorney who's just getting memos.
Right.
So that would be great. Could we inform when we have a court meeting?
Is that the injunction in 2019?
No.
They went back to court and they told them that all the vehicles had been registered. They lied. They should have held on contempt back then. And apparently something happened in 2020 and there was a virus and everything stopped.
yeah, there's stuff between the attorney and the town's client privilege, but we certainly can let you know when hearing is scheduled. I think that's public, so I think it works. Can't speak to the legal system.
Well, it's been in the works for 7 years.
Well, I know, but I wasn't on the board, and I've been by there several times since we first.
Yeah, and there's no question it's getting worse.
Yep. I agree. Well, thank you. Thank you for your perseverance. So I know it's frustrating, I'm sure. So, Ron, did you have any?
I've got a couple of things.
Okay.
First of all, I want to apologize for any information I gave about stuff that's wrong with the buildings and stuff like that, because that's been, I've been living through it for years, and going through, so that we established a public safety committee, and then we go out and see what can happen. And I did say that there was some mold and some other stuff, a lot of problems. Buildings are falling apart, fire stations inside. You look in the back, top part of it, underneath the windows has fallen, stuff like that. So, it may not have, I'm just going on people talking about it and stuff like that, looking over old notes like this here, the town is growing and will continue to grow, state and federal mandates require greater training records and all that stuff, blah, blah, blah. Quite simply, we have outgrown our two buildings, the 2003 community facility study, identified them as the top priority needed for expansion and replacement. I mean, I have a folder that's like this in the book about the additions that are needed there and stuff like that. Of course, we went to 2006, 7, and 8, and it was disapproved at that time. Put in another one for a grant in 2010, and we've been spending money and stuff like that when these buildings over 25 plus years, and they need to be replaced and stuff like that. That's where I got some of my stuff from, so I apologize for that. Because I understand that someone went up there and looked at the inside of it and stuff like that, and couldn't find any of the stuff that I said about, I mean, maybe they had fixed it between the 2003, 7, 8, Here I you gotta look at the whole thing, look at the bathrooms, look at the water supply system, look at the lack of an area where we can put vehicles in that can't be touched and stuff like that. Now they have to go down to Jaffrey. You don't have room for that stuff there. You don't have room for, bringing in evidence and stuff like that. The cell, you have to transport people to other places because the cell's not, where it's supposed to be as expected. So if we get a committee, we can get an inspector to come up here and tell them what's all wrong with this thing. They may shut us down, but it'd be up to, that's why we need to start looking at this. New Boston just got a grant for a new similar thing, public service, fire station and all that, $12 million grant they got to do it. So the money is out there. I passed out that, the grants that are for the state of New Hampshire here, and what to look at, we need to do that, go into that, go look through that and see, because to really do the job right, and start spending money on stuff like that, let's do the job right. If you can't do the job right, then, that's, and I'm sorry, I mean, fill in a couple of things that they've probably up there does it. It's not there anymore, but a big mess up there.
Thank you, Ron.
I got one more thing though.
Oh, okay.
This has to do with Thomas Road. We're having a lot of speeding going through Thomas Road lately. And,
Have you talked to the woman to your left or right?
Yes, ma'am, yes, I have. Yes, I have. We nearly had a major incident last Thursday where a group of grandfather and grandmother were walking from Thomas Road, swinging up into Thomas Road by the first red house there, 120. My wife happened to be on the side there, just going slowly, and this truck came in, must have been going like 40, 50 miles an hour. It took those people, and actually, they had to go to the side. If they stayed where they were, they would have hit. On Wednesdays like today, we have the, picking up all the vegetables and all that stuff, the CSA out there and stuff like that. This afternoon, just standing there and stuff like that, to get the kids across the street like that, we have to stop the car. About a week and a half ago, they had a meeting up there from all the farmers around. And what they did to help is they put up their own cones to facilitate the cars coming in and out of that, stuff like that. But they really need, to get a nice crosswalk coming across there and stuff like that, so we can put a sign up there that say, hey, slow down, stop, people are going across that. So I just need to know.
Thank you.
Can help on that with someone who did a whole road survey today of the speeds and all that stuff. It needs to be changed.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, let's go to old, we done, I think, yes. Close citizens forum if there are no other comments. Thank you very much. Old business, discussion draft of camping ordinance. I read it through. Did you do that? No, okay. Who did that? Did you guys read this through? Yeah. Oh yeah, here it is. What did you think of this? I thought it was actually pretty good. I think it hit pretty much everything.
Yeah, the only thing that I was looking to change, that it was talking about green. No camping on green space, rather than say that, make it conservation land instead of saying green space.
I had the same suggestion.
Because people are gonna say, well, the trails are not green, they're brown, so camping on it. So I don't want green space, I'd rather have conservation land, and the conservation department does issue permits at times on their property for that. They would be, it doesn't mean to do that. The other one was, not just the fine, the penalty, but to be removed from, vacated from the property. Is there any wording we can put in? Somebody's camping, police notified, can they be vacated from that property immediately?
Are they trespassing?
If they have no permit,
And yes.
so we should probably put in something that says to vacate the property immediately. Other than that, I'm fine with this. This is the Derry, basically the Derry, town of Derry ordinance, just changed over. Thought it was very good. Just those two minor changes.
Okay.
Should we add, after, on section 2A, where we changed it to town conservation land, should we put, unless permitted? Because they do allow it on conservation.
Unless permitted, yes, by the Conservation Commission.
We had updated our form for that as well.
Okay.
Well, it says that it's up to the selectmen or their designee.
Right.
This is what it can be, up to the selectmen and designees.
Okay.
Would be Concom. Plus the board itself.
So you think it's already covered?
We could write in conservation commissions since they're the one actually doing conservation. I brought up the same point. I thought it was kind of covered. Be more specific. Definitions are very important.
Yes.
Yeah. I guess they could come to this board for a permit to camp out in the parking lot here or out in front, but I don't think it'd be granted.
No.
Or the town common, which is not conservation.
It is a police house.
Or they could have Jamboree or something.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you want to say? I think green space covered a little broader topic too, Bob. I said to add conservation land because we specify the common, but there's other green space that's not really conservation land that the town has, you know, to be an empty lot, you know.
It could be too.
Right.
That's why I asked to add conservation land.
2A just says, it shall be unlawful to camp without written permission from the board of selectmen or the designee on the following properties owned by the town of Rindge: any parks, municipal parking lots, public streets, town common, or town conservation land.
It only lists those
We're
properties.
not gonna say median strips and stuff like that, but it's not getting ready.
Or any other town property,
Or any town-owned property.
or any own town common property.
I looked at green space kind of covering both, but any town property is probably a better way of icing.
You okay with that add-on? Any town property
Or any,
covers everything.
get rid of or town,
Conservation land,
just say.
or any town property,
Conservation land, comma.
or any town property.
I would probably remove one the following, because it's identifying certain
Oh,
properties.
yeah.
On any town property, or
Oh, I see what you mean.
Follow what I'm saying? It's,
Yep.
it's designated in certain areas, not all encompassing.
so on any property.
Or any other.
Any other.
And other.
Any town properties, including parks, parking lots, streets, town common, town conservation land.
Or any other town property.
Yeah, I put it right at the beginning.
Yeah, it covers it all.
Yeah, 'cause what we don't, like I said,
That's what I'm saying, any town, we're behind the ball field out in the sand.
Or any town-owned property such as parking lots, streets, etc.
Just wanted to let people know that it's any town.
Yeah.
Town owned.
Or they're designating only town-owned properties.
Such as,
Included or something, you know.
okay.
And what about the penalties, just add,
All right.
It says $100 for the first offense and immediate vacate. You vacate property immediately.
They will be asked.
Chairman?
Yes. All right.
When you say such as parks, that's very specific. You leave one thing out.
Exactly.
So why can't it just be on any town-owned property or conservation land, period?
Yep. And you're right, in terms of listing all the
Because if you
other
start listing ballparks and commons, oh, well, you didn't say the school front lawn, so that's not on, that means I can camp there.
things. Agreed.
It's
I think it's beneficial to list examples, but
No, because then that- legally, that opens up the door for not being listed.
okay, including but not limited to. Yes, very good. Because one could say, I didn't know it was owned by the town, so. yeah.
Hey, just got a question.
Yes, Rachel?
I think it should be clarified that the act of simply being on the property itself is not trespassing.
camping.
So it should be clarified that the camping portion, they wouldn't be, I think maybe you misspoke before, they're not trespassing. The act of camping is criminal in nature. The act of camping would need to be discontinued. So the camping equipment would need to be removed, but they wouldn't necessarily be forced to vacate the property. It's town-owned property. They're not trespassing per se, correct? I think it would need to be worded that we won't go out there, and if they're allowed to be there lawfully, they're just not allowed to camp, we won't if they're not trespassing, we won't ask them to leave, but the camping action needs to cease. So I think that needs to be clarified in the
There is a definition, have you
document.
seen this?
I not know.
Why don't you, here, give her a copy? Camping is identified in there, and two would be,
But the clarification being, can they be asked to leave?
well, if they're camping, this is
If they're
specific to-
camping, right, but if they put all their camping equipment back in their vehicle and want to go for a walk on the property, then yes, they're allowed to legally be there. I just want to make that clear that they wouldn't be criminally trespassed or they wouldn't be charged additionally with criminal trespass. The action would need to stop, but the presence would not need to stop. Does that make sense?
It does, but you run into these situations, so a person puts it in their car, you drive away, 2 hours later, they're camping. Because they haven't been, it hadn't confiscated, they, you know.
We would never compensate.
Right.
We stop the action, and what we go back and do a second time is issue another citation.
Got it, okay.
And let the courts decide. You know, we don't have enhanced action just because someone commits an offense, it's action one day. They have 6 offenses, they get brought to the court's attention, the court then makes a determination, so.
Let me posit something. I know in Children's Wood, we had a camper out there for years, and I ran into that. So a person is out there, they're cited again, they're cited again. Got to set the court date, month later, as our neighbors are experiencing, it's still going on. What recourse does the town have?
That's where we implore the court to make a determination on what we can lawfully do moving forward. So we could tow the camper. And the situation that we have currently is that we did tow a camper from property that there is no owner for, and there's cetera, or towing it from town-owned property, that's a very good likelihood. But then again, you could have it court-ordered execution to the person, so if they refuse to pay it because they just want to abandon their camper at the tow company. It does get complicated, I just want to be clear that we can remove the activity, but not the person specifically. And if they choose to go back, they would just be continuously cited, and then we would explore the court to make determinations, similar to a lot of other things that go.
So the court awards the town $10,000 from the person who has no income and is living out there.
And then you get it in $75 a month increments for the rest of their life.
Okay.
We have some of those plans in place right now.
Doesn't do anything.
Right, can I mean, if someone reported it, Rachel's gonna get notified and she's gonna go out there and she's gonna tell them that they can't camp there. So basically, you have to vacate with your camping stuff.
But it kept preventing them from coming back. So if they had a camper, we would hang out there and wait until everything was packed up and removed, so we would visually make sure that they left. But if they're in a tent, it's different. So we can watch them pack up their tent and leave the property, but what's to prevent them from coming back 3 hours later, right?
The secondary ticket.
Secondary ticket. And we do find people out in the woods in tents very often. Unfortunately.
We could discuss that a little bit more, because I think last time we did the ordinance, we had to have a public hearing, so.
Yep.
We don't have to, but if that's what we've done in the past.
Yeah.
Richard Mauer from Conservation Commission, when we reviewed our permit for activities on conservation land, we included a time frame of when they should apply for the permit, which stated our regular meeting schedule. We wanted it at least a week before this meeting, so that people wouldn't say, well, we tried to get in touch with you between meetings and we just did it. So we put in a date for applying for the permit. That might be something you could consider.
Let's be quite clear, there's not a lot of people that are camping in the town
No.
right now. We just want to prevent that from happening. The intent of giving a fine is, I guess, some sort of threat. But I don't think it's ever going to be collected, ever.
Right.
And before multiple fines are put together and then the increased fine is put together, those persons are going to either be out of the state or out of the town. You can push them over Jaffrey or Warren, I don't care.
Non-payment of fines will result in a court date, and non-appearance at court will result in an arrest warrant, so there are
Thank you.
benefits to issuing that fine, even if
Okay.
there's not immediate turnaround for payment.
Right. This is what I wanted to hear. Okay. Thank you.
These people will most likely going to just disappear anyway.
They may, but they'll come back and then the warrant for their arrest and conviction.
There'll just be another warrant. One in Connecticut, one in Mass, one in New Hampshire.
Send them the road out. So,
All right, Richard, look it over, if you will.
yep.
A lot of towns are looking at their campaign ordinances right now.
Okay.
And reviewing them, so we don't have one now.
Yep. All right. Security update. And do you want to address this, Lori? Basically, we had ADT, we found it wasn't working. They found it wasn't working, and we were basically stuck with that. So do you want to brief us?
Yeah, so that was the updated quote that we had a couple weeks ago, and I think we tabled it to hear from the police chief on what her take was on that, if I remember correctly.
We tabled it for lack of 3 quotes.
Right.
And I asked that both of the selectmen speak with Rachel on this.
Yep.
Is that done?
I did not speak with Rachel on this.
So nothing's been done. We don't have a
Nothing's
second,
been
we don't
done.
have a second quote. We don't.
I did talk to Rachel about it a little bit this afternoon, and I think she's under the impression that we need something here. It's been brought up in the past when Dan and Mayor was here, and she was part of that discussion. that system or simply putting in one that might be more reliable. There may be some combination of what proposed, but I think the unobvious ability to push a button or pull a lever under your desk is probably the best way. I know you've got a lot of questions about it. I spoke to that security about some of the things you raised. The circuit breaker outlets really are not an issue because the buttons or levers, there's different types under the desk are very discreet and they are hardwired to the truck. And the panel is the one that needs to have a direct connection to the power source, not through a circuit breaker outlet. It will be hardwired into the electrical panel. And so it's a hardwired thing. It's not everyone is plugged in. And the response time is probably less than a minute based on what I heard from Monadnock today. So it will be in dispatcher's hands under a minute. I think we need to move forward with it. I did discuss cameras with Rachel a little bit, and we're vulnerable here, and I think her equipment is aging, and there's certainly none in this office. And I think we're being doing a disservice to our employees not to have this stuff. We received ARPA money to do infrastructure improvements and things like that, and I think we should do it. Put it behind us. We know the current provider is not reliable. So that's kind of where I'm at. I think I should move forward.
And we only have 2 bids. We have ADT, which we want to dump, and we have Monadnock, which we're using in other places. Where are we using them? Library?
In every building for fire, I believe, every building for fire included here. And the library is now moving them from.
Right. Are there any other options in the area? I'm not familiar with them.
No, man.
Yeah.
It's more of an extension of our existing service.
Exactly. Also, this service is a little less expensive than ADT was, so we'll actually, if we do the financing part of the installation on ARPA, then we'll actually reduce the cost of security by $10 a month.
And
Is
it
it?
will work.
What?
And it will work.
We hope it will work, yes.
And if it's not working, they'll let us know.
Right.
There's a we'll call and say it's not working.
Right. Okay.
There's a bad connection or something. So
I don't know how they would know that.
Because they monitor it, but there may be some other internal thing they
It
monitor.
checks every once in a while at nights.
I think we should move forward with it. We can discuss this 4 more weeks in a row. And
Okay.
when we have an incident, we're gonna have a problem. We
Should
should
get the 3rd bid and we can talk to it.
I don't think we require 2 extra bids, Bob, so we're extending the existence. We're extending the existing
You've got to be
service.
kidding me.
I'm sorry, could you please not make comments?
We're extending a service that we're always using, we're just adding another component to it.
No, we're changing a company and going with a new company.
I'm willing to waive the 3 bids.
There's a procurement policy, and a procurement policy requires 3 bids.
In fact, if I am mistaken, this is for $4,428. And so our procurement policy, Bob, requires simple verbal quotes. 500 to 5,000, 3 documented telephone or verbal quotes. So if we want to just get a number, we can do that.
So,
It's kind of, if you want to try to do that, we'll be happy to get you a verbal quote.
well, I say we split the baby, and.
We have ADTs already, so we'll find another service and get another.
Find another provider.
The board has waived that in the past.
What? We have waived it in the past.
That in the past.
Typically, when we can't get a service.
Yes, it's a clown
We
show.
can't always
Or
get,
if you want.
Exactly.
always get 3 quotes, we can't always get any quotes sometimes.
That's what my point, Bob. The services are very limited and they're fairly large in this area.
But we didn't try.
Why don't you get another quote and we'll have 3.
Well, I will try to get another quote. I will put this on the agenda for 2 weeks. I intend to vote on it. Well, if I can't get a quote, then we'll go and we'll make it. I will make the effort in 2 weeks, and if I can get another quote and it's a better option, we'll take a look at it. Okay? So,
Have at it.
thank you. Okay.
You got a good deal going.
All right. Thank you.
Quite possibly could be the best, like, have no
It's
quotes.
okay not to get 3 quotes for the fire department.
Absolutely, but you're right.
I had 3 for the fire
Got a
department.
better quote than we get, so.
All you need is a verbal number that you write down.
They have the national security and 2 fogs.
Right.
The only problem that I had was getting the yellow trouble around after
I thought,
That's what I
sorry,
wanted
10
to
to
say.
12 years.
I should have thought with her quote, I just thought it would have been more of a priority to get it squared away as quick as
Well,
possible.
we've delayed months, and we can do 2 more weeks, but with 2 more weeks is the deadline, we will get that. We will move on it in 2 weeks, so, thank you. And I want to, ARPA updates, proposal for ventilation system for town office.
Stuff that fire department's
It's
getting
another
stuff
thing I
that they
want to
need.
table.
As soon as the
As
queen
we're
needs something, she
making,
gets it.
we are waiting for one more proposal. And but the second one came in at 3,000. Right now, we had one for 8,500, which included much more. It was them handling it, supervising, training and all this other stuff. We did get a bare bones quote on, for the second one came in at 3,000. I have the 2 companies, and but I would like to table this for also 2
Which
weeks
was
from
the
today.
second company? I looked at 2 quotes, and one of them just seemed to give an hourly quote.
Right, let me find it for you.
It didn't really, I couldn't see where it said how many hours it would take.
Right, and it said it would guarantee that it would be no more than $3,000.
Was it the,
Anything over would be an hourly rate.
Oh, okay.
so we
Right,
told
okay.
him.
Gotcha, oh, I'm sorry.
So they haven't come up, they don't know
We
how long
did
it's going to
provide,
take.
No,
we did provide the.
nor did we know what
Reports,
they need to do.
the monitor reports, I went out for those and I did, Joy had sent me what we have so far and I did include those for your
Right.
packet.
My concern on this is that, and we also haven't done, we've done some extensive monitoring. I think we can still continue with that, for spaces. This room here, basically is peaking right now with the number of people in the room, and that's been an experience the last time we monitored it during the meeting. I'd like to see what it is when there is no meeting, just as comparison. And also I monitored the smallest, tightest room, which was the finance. And they were not as bad as I thought they might be, but they were still bad. They were in the red, even though they worked there all day, every day. So
It's only in there one day.
it was in there one day, yeah. Right, so we will, I want that more extensively tested also. That's one reason I want to table this
Yeah,
also.
they show, that this room is integrated up till around just before noon time during the day.
Right,
And we're up in the 3,000 range, when really 1,000 is max, tops. It's really a danger zone above 800. So, we are aware of the situation.
Currently we have-
Certainly aid to have someone say something and be liable for lawsuit. because
currently we're
do-
ventilating the room, but in winter time we don't have that option. So it's another thing I'd like to table.
Will you take a question? Will you take a question
Um,
for the ventilation?
On the ventilation,
Yeah. I just want to be sure of it.
All right, I'll take two
All right.
questions.
Okay.
But they need to be questions, not
Lonnie
speeches.
Nelson.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so I just want to be sure. So you do not have any documentation within the last 3 years of high absenteeism, sicknesses, headaches, and anything that has happened in this building. Before you take action with this ventilation system, why are you doing this? There's no sicknesses, there's no high absenteeism, there's no complaints. Something will always lead to another. You get this ventilation system and you know down the line, you're going to be spending more money. Thank you.
Okay, yes.
So this machine you're putting around this different parts of the building.
It's in here right now.
What is it actually measuring?
Measuring heat things, I think. Do you want to address that, Dwight? I don't have it off the top of my head. CO2 for one.
CO2, humidity, small particulate matter, larger particulate matter, radon, a couple of things.
Okay, so a
And
follow-up.
volatile fumes.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
A follow-up question. What would you get for readings if you put it in someone's house? Very similar readings probably, right? And one more question. Is this being used with the windows open and then the windows closed?
So windows closed?
Huh?
Windows closed.
I see the windows shut all the time in this building. Open them up and get some air in.
It's open now.
Yeah, now. It wasn't, this is the first meeting I've seen these open since, I don't know.
Pick it up and look at it.
Last year.
Okay, thank you.
He's gonna tell us what it's telling you right now.
Okay.
This is today. This is current.
And I'm
With all
sorry.
windows wide open.
Anyway, I lost it because I bumped something. But anyway, it's,
It was off the Richter scale, just like the chart you have in front of you, with all the windows open.
okay. So, all right, so let's,
Which measurement is that?
I think it was that CO2?
Yeah, CO2.
Was that CO2?
CO2.
Thank you, okay.
You're up in the thousands.
All right, we want to move on. All right, next item, and this is,
One more question.
I'd
over
really
there.
like to know what the chief has, she had her hand raised, could you let her speak,
did
please?
you have your hand raised? I'm sorry.
I don't intend to stir the pot, but I'm just curious if this piece of equipment is gonna be deployed in all of the town buildings or just town offices.
Can be.
I'm very curious now hearing out what the police department is. I clearly have a vested interest in that.
That's why we
It's portable and it can be, okay, can I get put on the list for
Yeah.
test terrible?
I'll share one anecdote. My wife was assigned to a room in Rindge, or Jeffrey Memorial School, and she smelled mold constantly, and she couldn't get any action on it, and finally she said, I just can't work in this room. So then they actually worked on it and found under the carpets, everything else was mold. We know what that does. But, I mean, there are problems that exist in buildings. My house is very tight, and I was testing for radon all the time because it is very tight. It's a fairly new house. Pete Maternal built it, and it was solid. So, anyway. Tom, you had, you went and looked up some research on technology.
I have. As I mentioned last week, I've kind of been studying it for several months now, and we're probably the only town in the area that doesn't do it. For what reason, I don't know. It kind of comes back to the original thing, you know, who controls it, who edits it, who does what with it, and I think it's a good thing for us to get some transparency in all of our, at least our elected board meetings, you know, extend it to other budget meetings and things to inform the public. I did turn in a report based on what I found over a number of months. Did you have a chance to read that?
I haven't. And,
well, I can give you a quick synopsis. I think you should read it. You know, basically my research indicated there's very few one-stop services that does this. It's usually a combination of them. And all the live streaming towns I talked to and visited, a number of them, do it different ways. Some utilize ARPA money to spend, and that ranges from $10,000 to $60,000. And they utilize internal staff to manage it because they purchased equipment and were aided in setting it up, but it still required staff intervention to make it happen. And similar to Larry, one town records it and uploads it. Others live stream it and record it. It's all over the map. I know I listed a few towns in that report, and I have visited these. Jaffrey had invested in equipment years ago, and they used another service, and then they updated their equipment. You know, they had microphones all over the place, and they had a fixed camera mounted on the wall. It was a fairly high quality. They invested a fair amount of money in it. The service they utilized, they had constant problems with it because it wasn't their business. They were more in the equipment business, which is what I found. So they recently switched, and I was unaware of it until I started doing this because I've been doing multiple meetings at Jaffrey.
Is this the meeting, a select board meeting room, or is this the fire department?
It's a select board meeting.
Okay, thank you.
They do it a different way if it's in a
Yes.
big.
I'm familiar with the fire.
Yes. So they just switched as vendor, I think, in March or April. I think the first recordings were in April. And so that's Jaffrey. Dublin, they used the ARPA money too. They spent about 10 grand from ARPA money. They have an 80-inch TV at Johnny. I think it's the biggest TV I've ever seen in my life with them. And they put just about everything up on it. They have a very expensive camera and soundbar system. The company they purchased this through is out of Bedford, New Hampshire, and they essentially purchased the equipment and installed it, and it's managed internally. They don't really have a lot of technical people. The administrators, the kid is a technical guy, so they hire him. They hire him when they need to do stuff or have problems. They utilize a Zoom platform, but again, there's a fee associated with it, and it's managed by internal staff. Temple also used ARPA money. They purchased and installed a very large amount of equipment. I think they dropped about 60 grand on it. They also use sort of a Zoom uplink with one user, but they record it and then upload it the next day. They did do 2 rooms. They actually spent more than 60 grand because they did it for their stage.
This is a town with 450 houses.
Yes. So I did talk to that vendor. That vendor's out of Bourne, Massachusetts. They did do Dublin. They no longer will do work in this area. It's just too far away. So Francistown has been using the vendor I recommended in my report since 2016. Spoken to the town administrator, they're very happy with it. Other towns, one uses a GoPro, Troy, for instance, iPad, YouTube. It's managed by, secretary, staff. It's kind of hit or miss. So I think, if you look at it, I looked at 8 towns. 6 of them used a company out of Maine called Town Hall Streams. And everybody I spoke to, Wilton uses them, Brookline uses them. They all are very happy with the service. It's a one-stop shop. They come in and put the equipment in, and basically it's a fee for service. This company, I spoke to the owner, in Maine. They have 31 towns in New Hampshire, 43 in Maine. They sort of have a resume. They're in Maryland, Connecticut, New York, California, New Jersey, and this is exactly what they specialize in. So there's pros and cons if we should move forward with this. Purchasing equipment and installing is pretty expensive. Probably a bare minimum would be about 10 grand. My recommendation is for use the ARPA money, but I think at 10 grand we probably have other things that probably more need. It can be accomplished with the purchase equipment through the service on all streams, like Jaffrey did. They use their equipment and they pay the fee to have it streamed. Over-the-counter equipment like Larry's doing or I'm doing, and it's kind of marginal at best.
But is it effective?
If you want to manage it, I think we're paying a fair amount of dollars. If you took my time to do that every week, you're spending $30 an hour times however many hours that someone's managing. So like four meetings a week, you're gonna drop your $300 on a
Well,
monthly.
I don't see anyone managing or setting up.
No, it's gotta be set up, and it's gotta be managed and
But
taken
if
care
a
of.
camera was
And then you have to buy a camera,
installed.
$1,000 camera, and it adds up, okay?
Okay.
So, I already made a recommendation that we implement this town hall systems. Their cost is $300 a month. It's a lifetime warranty or a long, contract if we want. They're very flexible. I thought one of the nice things about this is that they come and install the equipment. And it's a very simple thing that basically you schedule a meeting like this meeting at 7 o'clock, and you walk over there and you turn the switch on the wall and it's on. If you go into a non-public, you can shut the camera off. It's very simple. I've witnessed it. So I have some pictures I can forward to you. So the other thing I thought was kind of neat is that they do a voice-to-text transcripting service. And Jaffrey has looked at it a little bit. You get $15 an hour to have the recording transcribed. It's probably cheaper than having our secretary in the office spend 4 or 5 hours doing minutes, because that's about what she spends. The other thing that's kind of neat is they're working on an algorithm with this, so that they can take, this meeting would have been pages of transcript, like a court transcript, and they're working on an algorithm that they're getting ready to beta test. Is hopefully by the end of the year that will summarize that transcript, so it'll be more like our regular minutes. So I think that's my recommendation.
It's not legal.
The one thing that's probably important to notice, once you read the report, is I've been surveying citizens. I've been at the dump, and I know Jim knows that. And I've got like 126 citizens here. That, I can turn them in. You're welcome to look at this. These people are all from Rindge. Out of the 50 or 60 that I personally spoke with, I think I had 2 that weren't interested in doing it. And frankly, I think they were elderly individuals.
Do they know the cost?
And they said, I don't do any of that. So I'm not sure they even had a phone. So it was a very, people generally were very open to it. I think there's other people in this room that have spoken to people about it, and they would probably concur with me.
You had mentioned the main company, $300 a month. What's the initial outlay in terms of the equipment?
None.
Okay, so they
come and put it in.
Replace it as they need to.
If we aren't happy with it,
Yep.
we take it off the wall and send it back to them.
Right.
They warranty it, they'll solve the problems if we have them. It's basically, this is their business. Everybody else I talked to, the guy in Bedford says, yeah, we'll say the equipment, his estimate was in the $10,000 range, because I did talk to him. It's kind of a waste to get a quote when you know it's not going to be really budgetized. So the other guy down in Bourne was in the same bucket. They'll help you set it up, but it's not going to be managed in any way. This town hall holds the recordings for 5 years. And you can also get as it says on my recommendation, you can get a social media plug-in where it goes out onto YouTube or Facebook or something if you want to have them arrange that for you. So, we waste this kind of money. For $3,600 a year, we can put a lot of transparency into our board meetings. I'll give it to Laura. I think she certainly got the report. It puts a lot of transparency in the meetings. The 5 recordings that I put up, the last one was yesterday. I did the ZBA meeting. If I can find my notes here, I think first recording was, got it in here, I can tell you what I so let's see, I had, the first one I did was on a 7/23, it was a ZBA meeting, and of course none of this is publicized. But anyway, we had 47 views. Okay, the first selectmen meeting I did was July 31st. We had 3 weeks later, we had 55 views.
Could I pause a second? Do you have results in terms of your views on your website? Or is it tracked?
To be honest with you, I haven't even checked.
Yeah, okay.
So
Most people see mine through social media.
So 8/14 was the next select board meeting that I did. We had 148 views. And then the planning board subcommittee, we had 33. So, and this isn't even advertised, so if we can put a link on our agenda that goes out on the web, because a lot of people look at the website. That's what I discovered. And basically they can just click on it and go right to watch the meetings whenever they want. They don't have to be here, they don't have to go out in the bad weather or, sit here at a long meeting when they're trying to do ballot boxes. It was very well received that we're even considering, everybody says that every other town does it, I thought we were doing it too. So the ARPA monies were given to us for this kind of purpose.
And we have a deadline coming up on that, but I'd really like to look at a cheaper option than going on streaming service. But, but I think it's necessary.
It's going to cost $3,600 a year. You can even get it down a little
I
cheaper.
would like to look at other options, take 2 other bids if you wish, so see if we can do that.
I haven't been able to find one. All my other bids are in the tens of thousands. And I got them.
I think you kind of pointed out the way that people have said to you, I didn't even know we didn't have it, which means they're not really looking for it because they didn't know.
Some people are that way.
Yeah.
Some people are that way, so.
Phil, this is a Teltech project. I know Tim Whistles had made a recommendation on the
Yeah, I mean, we've discussed this in the past, that with a laptop and a $15 a month Zoom plan, Zoom has a plug-in to YouTube to live stream, and then you're storing everything in the cloud.
Right.
So with existing laptops, we could do this. We could get a better camera than what's built into the laptop and provide better audio and video, but that's a marginal cost.
Well, I think for discussion points, Phil, you've got to have a staff member do it. And at $30 an hour plus benefits, it's going to add up. And, I'm picking 30, but.
Right, I really don't want to debate on this because I'm looking at other options. And then we can look at, when we have other options, we can then compare. Okay, so.
Yeah, I was going to mention that for years and years, the planning board taped their meetings, we still do.
On the computer.
Right. The video's not terrific, but they got posted the next day. I mean, it took 2 minutes. Not hours. So, and it says streaming. Streaming is live.
That's correct.
Posting, we don't have the medium unless you pay for a YouTube account or a Zoom account. We don't have the medium. I know that some people used to do it live on Facebook, but streaming is live to me, not
is.
posting it the next day.
You gotta watch yourself and go home.
All right.
Not interested.
So you know, I assume some people, not sure we even need it, but whether it's streaming or posting, I know the school does streaming, but they have a communications director who was running the whole thing during their, and they were taking in calls.
And
that's
what's
the
it costing the taxpayers?
Well, I'm sorry. You know, a communications
Yeah.
director. We should be so.
Exactly.
And so, but the only thing when there is they were taking comments from the public, which is the justification for streaming. I'm not sure we need streaming if, you know, we are not taking questions. I mean, that is an option, and I'd like to see what those options
We do
were.
not take questions.
What?
We do not have.
The school district does it. Yeah.
Like, the school district shouldn't be doing it because that was only a temporary emergency order issued by the governor of the state of New Hampshire during COVID.
So
That
they're
emergency
qualified there
order
too.
has lapsed, and you can't do that anymore.
Right.
It's illegal.
Right. So anyway, I would like to see the controls on that, and if we can get a.
I've given you what I've been.
Oh, I appreciate it.
If you want me to get hard numbers, I will.
I want to read through your report. I want to look at those options, but I want to check other options that are equivalent and hopefully less expensive.
I'll get you quotes too.
Okay.
All for quotes.
Right, thank you.
Just want to say one thing.
I know.
Check out the FBI Smart TV. Please go there and see what you're getting into as far as hacking. And right here, fake off mode. So you think you're turning your TV off and it's not. And you'll be amazed what the FBI has to say about these smart TVs today. I know I'm serious. There's no laughing matter. You will never have a non-pub again.
We're gonna move on.
We're going to move on. Thank you.
No more questions.
Sorry, we're going to move on.
It's a business meeting.
Do we get opera every year? We
No.
don't, right?
It's running
So we
out.
pay, we use it this year for
I'm
3,600. Do
sorry.
we get it next year? Do we get it the year after that? But we're still paying the $3,600. You
I'm sorry.
feel like a
excuse me,
moneyless,
excuse me.
bottomless pit.
This is a business meeting.
Good for
And
you.
we were not talking about 3,600 for the annual payment. We were talking about if we were buying equipment, that would be ARPA money. And it could be for this year, but you're right. If it went on, it would be 36. Thank you. We need to move on. And we have an intent to cut map lot 11, lot 33. Okay. So where is that? Sorry.
I got it memorized. It's a net state forest. We've already,
yeah,
we've already
thank you.
approved this intent to cut one time. They didn't do the cuts and they're reapplying for the same
That's
cut.
correct.
And basically the
Correct.
state wants the cuts.
Yep, I got it right there.
Net state
Thank you.
cut.
And I think you need to sign it.
I'll make a motion to approve the intent to cut on map 11, lot 33.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We have the state slate of elderly exemptions filed late and veterans exemptions for 2025. So, and let's see, where are they? Oh, here they are.
I summarize that.
These are, yep, please.
3 of them were applications for both the elderly and the veterans exemptions. All 3 of those were approved for the veterans exemption, but they did not pass the income qualification for an elderly exemption. So that's the first 3.
Yep.
The last one was to deny an elderly exemption because it exceeded income limitations. So 4 of them, 4 were denied the elderly exemption, and 3 of them were accepted for their veterans.
Do we need a motion on that? Oh, they've been, yeah, we need a motion to approve the denials and the acceptance of the veterans, and denial of the income.
Correct.
Correct.
What do we want to do by map or what?
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to deny the elderly exemption from map 6, lot 29. You have a second?
Yep.
I'm sorry, that is confidential information.
Yeah, we're not stating the person.
It's
Yeah,
easy
you
to
are doing
identify.
I can look it up tomorrow, easy.
Yep.
Yeah,
We haven't done it on any of the other ones that I've.
No.
yeah, no, because you
Okay.
can't get that information.
Thank you, Roberta. All right. So the aforementioned,
Say as recommended.
as recommended by the assessing for tax.
That's what we did all the way.
Okay. All right. So I'm sorry, we need to finish this off. We had made a motion to take the recommendations from the
You made that
assessing.
motion?
I made that
I'll
motion.
second the motion.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We have 3 ayes.
Great, 2 ayes.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Thank you, okay. We have transfer of welfare funds from the Bushwell Hardy and Wood Smith Trust funds. That was, we had cut the welfare budget, the welfare funds by about over $7,000. We are now, of things that we normally spend, and so they are underfunded because they had a lot of claims that went through, and we're restoring their budget to the by basically transferring $7,080 back into their account. They can better have a balanced budget. We are obligated for these expenditures, and we have cut it with the anticipation of being able to use these welfare funds to balance the budget on that. Yes, Roberta, do you have something on this?
Yeah, the welfare budget was actually cut by $12,000, not $7,000, and when welfare has been overspent in the past, if there was money found in the budget, it was transferred to cover it. And the Bushwell Hardy Fund is not a bottomless pit, and I really think we're under budget right now. Why not wait until later in the year to see if it's needed, instead of using funds that can't be replaced?
Right.
I mean, we always transferred funds in the past, that, you know, the selectmen did, because welfare has to be paid if they qualify. So if there's money, we're talking $7,000. You were just talking about $3,600 a year. So, you know, I would wait until like November, and if the budget's really tight, that's the time to dip into the Bushwell Hardy. That's my 2 cents. I just think it can't be replaced, and it's not like it's going to earn that money every year. It's a nice rainy day fund.
True. Although the intent of the board last year when they made these cuts was that we were going to fund it through the overages, the income from these funds.
If needed.
Okay. And right now they are under budget, and that's why the proposal was to transfer these funds and make our budget balance. I'm not so confident you are in terms of our budget situation. Looking at the whole budget, and we are under budget right now, but...
Well, it's a little skewed because the paving has, you know...
I understand. Yeah.
You have to wait until after all the paving's done to find out where you are.
Okay.
Is this correct at the Bushwell Hardy Trust, Wood Smith Trust?
Right. They took in $15,195.
That's how much they took in. It's not the current balance as it stands.
It's not the current balance, that's the excess that they earned last year. And what we're asking is to use $7,080 of that, and then the balance would of course build up the fund.
Yeah, I think we can wait a hair and see where we're going. If we have enough, we can transfer, as we have in the past, we'll transfer from all the budgets that we have.
Okay.
Yeah, we can wait, I think that's a reasonable thing. I know
I agree.
we're over budget
Okay.
already. I mean,
Yeah.
they're, you know, 100, almost 120% of budget, and that doesn't include July, we're August, so.
Yeah, $7,800 they're gonna cover it anyway.
Right, okay. Right, that's not
Just a correction, that was not income for a year, that's been collected income through the existence of the fund.
For 100 years.
The earnings per year is quite small. You know,
Okay.
If you were taking that money, it would be a one-time.
That's an important point, thank you. Right, okay, yeah, we will not take it out this time unless we need it.
Another comment on that fund?
No, I'd like to move on.
No, just on the fund.
I'd like to
Okay.
move on.
Very
It's
quickly,
almost-
they use the principle.
Roberta,
Yeah.
thank you. We're moving on, and we have, I would like to get done by 8 o'clock. We're almost there. Thank you. Raffle permit, Jeffrey Women's Club.
Let me go through that. I assume that they're gonna have the raffle at the fair for the Rindge Women's Club during the fall.
Fall.
This is the Jaffrey Women's Club wants to sell raffle tickets at the Rindge Women's Club Fair. They've done it in the past, and I talked to Deb Quayle before the meeting, and they have no objection to the Jaffrey Women's Club selling raffles at their fair. So I'd make a motion to approve that raffle permit.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And any other official business come before the board? We have one thing that came in, which is to request to waive fees for RMS for mechanical and electrical. They do the inspection every year, and we've traditionally waived that fee, even if they have a communications director and we don't. I made a motion.
If we collect the fees, it's not gonna help their budget.
No, it will not. No.
It'll cut their budget by $50 maybe.
Right.
32 million to go.
Yep. So anyway, I made a motion to waive the fees. Do I have a second? Second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Informational items, communications, and updates.
A quick thing, we had a meeting of the Town Gown Committee, it was August 20th of this year. They just wanted to know if the special events permits had been signed. We took care of that at the last meeting. It was a gas station, beer garden. That permit was signed.
Yep.
They have a fall festival coming up at the end of this next month. Campus safety meeting with the fire department, the police department is going well. The police department, the fire department will do an intro when the new students are coming in. We did get a chance to meet Peter. This man introduces himself as Peter. He happens to be the president of the college, right? Peter. His name is Dr. Peter E. Very nice man. He made a slip and he gave us his cell phone number. I won't say it out loud.
Put it on the internet.
But all of us at the meeting copied it down. But he's a good guy. He's just breaking in. He's very much in touch with what the Town Gown meeting was, and he got a pretty good education at the last meeting. Quick rundown of what it's all about. You know, we've been dealing with Christine Nolan. She seems to be on there. Chris Toll is back with the security department. Campus safety, police department, fire department, are both happy about having Chris back working with them. Thought they would be. And other than that, that's about all that's going on. Our next meeting is on September 17th, at Frederick Pierce College.
Okay. All right, thank you. Meeting adjourned. Okay.
out.
Yeah, me too. I don't have my own son, me neither. I'm on the dirt road. Okay, well, thank you very much. I saw that. Jesus, everybody in Can we have any more signs?
I'd rather have you